Welcome to this week's episode of Trista's Plate Story podcast. I'm Trista Polo from iwokeupawesome.com, and I am your host. Each week we learn the story behind that vanity plate. You know, the one you saw driving down the road? What did it say? What did it mean? Why did they choose it? Welcome. I'm super excited to have today's guest. The license plate is GH10. The owner of the plate is Greg Hill from Sarasota, Florida. Welcome, Greg.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, I'm excited to have you.
Glad to be on here.
I really appreciate you coming on and sharing a little about your story. So tell me about the story behind your vanity plate. Why did you choose GH10?
Well, of course, GH is my initials, and the 10 comes from my jersey number when I played football. You know, starting out, I had a license plate when I was in college, Red Hill QB. And once I had a sports car in college, but once I got rid of that and became a truck man, I no longer had a personalized plate. And then when my truck put me down back in 2012, I went and bought my Dodge Challenger, another sports car. So I had to spice it up and put a little something personalized on the back plate. So I came up with GH10 to put on there, and that's kind of how it went.
That's awesome. Now, the number 10 for your jersey number, you played in college, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. Tell me a little about your college football days.
I went to the Georgia Southern University. I was in a little small town in Statesboro, Georgia. I was recruited out of high school, out of Florida, to come to Georgia Southern. And the thing about it, Georgia Southern had rich tradition. They had won 4 Division I AA national championships prior to me arriving. And so, narrowed my choices down to Georgia Southern. Once I took my visit here, felt at home. And make a long story short, we went on and won a lot of football games. We played in the 1998 and 1999 national championship, and which we won in the 1999 versus Youngstown State. And so that's kind of sums up my college experience playing football. I was inducted into Georgia Southern Hall of Fame back in 2010. So, all we do is win here, and the tradition still is going on. They continue to win.
That's really great. And you were the quarterback, right?
Yes, I was the quarterback.
Yeah. So as the quarterback, what was it important for you to impart? Because that's really a leader on the team. So how did you impart your leadership for the good of the team? Because clearly you guys did a great job and you won a lot.
Yes. In the role as the quarterback, leadership, that leader comes with that position. Ironically, I wasn't a verbal leader. I said things when it needed to be said, but I led more by example. I was a guy that came to work every day, worked hard, and I think my teammates just saw the example that I set forth, and they jumped on board. Everybody worked hard, getting better, perfecting their craft. And, even in the off season, in the summers, some of my teammates would notice that I was doing extra workouts outside of the required workouts. And so that brought some of them with me, wanting to come work out with me. And, that was the leadership part. I played in it, and, everybody just jumped on board. We worked hard together and won a lot of games. So I think I went 32-4 as the starter at Georgia Southern.
That's awesome. Mm-hmm. When you play well on a team, what emotions does that bring up for you when you had a good game and you gave it your all?
Well, it's always great to celebrate a win. And, the standard here is very high. At Georgia Southern was very high. So you enjoyed it that Saturday night, but the next morning it was on to the next game and concentrating on how to get better, how you're going to win the next one. Back in 1998 was our year where we was 14-0, and we lost in the national championship game versus UMass, University of Massachusetts. So that left a sour taste in our mouth, and we just, made a commitment that we was going to get back and win the whole thing. But the teamwork, I would always give credit to other guys, the linemen, because they don't get their name in the paper. Those guys, the one open up holes for you and sacrifice for the good of the team. That's what being part of the team really meant, being selfless.
That's great. I really love that answer. And you've brought a lot of your leadership and everything that you've achieved into what you do now professionally. Can you share a little about your current profession and what you do for a living?
Well, I got to stay around the game. Now I'm just a coach, and I get to teach others the game and watch them be successful and enjoy those same moments I was able to experience. I started my high school coaching career back in 2004 here in town at Statesboro High School. And immediately, I found myself on another part of another winning program. In 2004, we played in the state championship, region quad A level, 4A level, and we lost in the championship game. And then the following year, in 2005, we went on to be 15-0 and win the state championship. So I was like, man, I can keep doing this forever. All I'm gonna do is win, And it comes a time when the road is not always easy, but the good thing about it, I get to mentor young kids playing the game and have a part in them being successful and and helping them reach their goals. And they can see from an example that you can make it if you work and trust the process and put the time in and really is serious about what you're doing. And so I teach and I coach and I couldn't ask for a better job.
That's really great. And you brought a lot, it sounds like you brought a lot of your leadership style of leading by example and making sure people get recognition for their hard work. What have you kept in that as a coach, and what have you tweaked so it works as a coach?
Well, one of the things I had to learn to do is, not all kids initially know what working is, for perfecting your craft. So I had to understand that I couldn't hold them at the same level as I did myself personally. I had to find ways to motivate them without being so hard on them. So that's something I tweak. And a lot of my buddies tease me and say I got soft, or you done got soft now, but that's not the case. There's different styles of coaching, and you got to find the way to push the button with certain individuals. Everyone's different. Everyone don't respond the same way. So within that, I had to learn how to, change my coaching style just a little bit to kind of get the most out of the kids, without being overbearing.
So what do you find to be the most effective coaching style when you're teaching kids?
Kind of find some common ground between where I can connect them, get connected with them. And also, the main thing is just creating a relationship with them, getting to know them, know what they like to do off the field, and just, try to encourage them to trust the process. And I tell them my story. I didn't start in high school till my senior year. And, I come behind an All-American, but I waited my time and I learned everything I could from that guy. So when it was my time, I was ready to go. And I was able to lead my high school team to, I think the third round of the state 6H playoffs, in which we was ranked number 5 in the nation, USA Today. And we knocked off the number 1 team in the country at the time, back in '94. And so those experiences has been beneficial. A lot of them find out that I've played at the professional level in the Canadian Football League. I played 2 years with Toronto Argonauts. I was able to walk away from the game satisfied and knowing that I did all I could and I put in the time. And also, kids come in all different sizes and from different walks of life. And my story was that I was only 6 foot, 140 pounds, coming out of high school. And still I was able to make it because I was mentally tough and I worked hard in the weight room, and which got me to a point where I earned a scholarship and, being able to go to college for free. And it allowed me opportunities that wouldn't have been there. So, I try to tell them about those type of things. And, it allows me to coach, and this is where I'm at now. And, all because of a game. And it opened many doors. And I got to meet a lot of people and create a lot of friendships, just from playing with a ball. So, just try to be inspiring any kind of way I can.
Yeah. And your son is also an athlete as well, yes?
Yes, my youngest son, Dallas, he's 12 years old now, 7th grader But back in 2019, we were just training for a local track meet here that was being offered at the by the recreation department. And it led on to, me getting a phone call from a track club out of Atlanta, the Blue Lightning Track Club, wanting Dallas to come up and participate in their time trials. And we was a big fan of, the track clubs out of Atlanta, because back when he was 7 years old running track in the town we was living in, Liberty County, he made it to the recreational state track meet as a 7-year-old. And we ran against him. He ran against some kids out of Atlanta that I could tell they took it serious. They ran year round. And so to get that phone call from one of those type of clubs was very exciting for him. And he went up and did well in the time trials. And make a long story short, he found himself qualifying for the National Junior Olympics in 2 events, the 100 and the 4x1 relay. So to be on that type of stage and just knowing the work he put in, I trained him here at home and on the track here, and then he would go up and join his team on Friday and Saturday. But to know the work he put in and how far he came, and he's seen, how much better he got with putting in hard work, it was very gratifying for him to experience that, and also for me too.
Yeah, he must have been so proud to be able to accomplish all that. And he's pretty young still to have those kinds of accomplishments. Do you see him taking an athletic career like you have, or does he have other ways that he wants to end up in a job?
Well, he pretty much wants to be just like his dad. Early on, when he was less than a year old, I would be watching film on Sundays prior to going to meetings, and he'll be right there laying in bed watching with me. And then he's always been around at the offices, no matter where I coach. He was always in there, and at times he'll get a mark and try to draw plays on the board. So he's following right in those footsteps, and he's been our ball boy for years. So he's around the kids. He loves being, and he tells me all the time, even when he was younger, he said, "Dad, I'm gonna be faster than you," because I myself, but I ran a 4.38 40-yard dash, and back when he was 5 or 6, he told me he was going to break all that. He was going to be fast and break any record you ever set. So I want,
wow.
And he's going right along. I mean, he's pushing right along. He plays basketball and football and track. So he's picked up a sport that I never played, basketball, but he's doing okay in that too.
That's awesome. Well, I wish him all the best and lots of success. Has he broken your record yet?
Well, I can say right now he's fast. He's faster at 12 than I was. So
okay,
he's on track to do it.
So he's on the right track to do that.
As long as he continues to work, I think he'll beat my record with no problem.
Wow, that's awesome. How many children do you have?
I have an older son, and he runs track at Mississippi State. Jacob, he went to school up in Atlanta at Eagles Landing Christian Academy. He's also experienced winning the state championship in football, and now he's off running track at Mississippi State in the 2nd year. Mm-hmm.
That's great. What's his plan for a profession? Is he going to go be an athlete as well?
I mean, he's always worked hard on the track. He started young, just like Dallas, but he's more, I would say, more of a book guy. He used to read tons of books growing up, and I think he's majoring in some field of engineering, some part of engineering. So, I think he'll get on and become something well in society, off his brains.
Wow, it's awesome. It sounds like you have a lot to be proud of with both your kids.
Without a doubt, they're good kids. Never been any problems, and they're yes sir, no sir type kids, and just overall good kids.
Yeah, you raised them right, you and your wife.
Yeah, well, they did their part. I just kind of been, I handled the athletic part of it, and just try to be the best male role model that I can be for them, and show them the way. And they've taken hold to it and made good decisions.
That's awesome. Now, your wife, her name is Jennifer, right?
Correct.
What is her background?
Jennifer, she was in retail for over 15 years. And since she's moved on to now, she's an office manager at the local cable company here. But she would like to be a stay-at-home mom, but not yet.
Not quite yet. Not quite yet. Now, how did you guys meet?
Well, it was when I first seen her was probably back in 1997. She also attended Georgia Southern University, and she worked at Popeyes. And I remember coming through the drive-through, and her and her cousin was at the drive-through window, taking my order, whatever, giving them a chicken. So that's the first time unofficially meeting. It wasn't until 2002 back here in town, and me and a good friend of mine, we was about to head off to go help out with this football camp down in South Georgia, but I had forgotten my belt. So we stopped by the mall, running into belts, and ran into a guy, Sergeant Major, and he asked me, did I ever get married? And I said, no. And he said, well, it's a beautiful young lady worked around on the other side. And he said, I'm not trying to be a matchmaker, but I think two good people should meet. And so he said, if you want, I'll go around here and see if she's working. And I'll say, sure, go see if she's working. But really, I was more interested in getting this belt and getting out of there because I wouldn't dress over to meet nobody. So
yeah.
Sure enough, he went around and he was storming back, and he said, Greg, she's around there. So you want me to take you around there? I say, okay. And as he's leading me around there, I'm drifting farther and farther back because I'm getting nervous. But we ended up meeting, exchanged numbers. I probably didn't call her till probably 2 weeks later. And then when I did call, she was like, Greg who? I say, well, you remember met in the store. And so she said, oh, okay. And we went out on a date, went bowling. And then that night I knew right then that was, the woman that I would want to spend the rest of my life with. So.
Oh, nice.
And we've been together ever since,
How long have you been together?
Let's see, 14 years. 14
Awesome.
Years. We've been married 14 years. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's great. Well, and it sounds like you love her as much as you did back then. Yes.
She helps keep me grounded, keep me in line, and, just check me whenever I need to be checked. And we work well together.
That's great. Anything else you'd like to share about your life, things that you do in the community, things that you've accomplished that you'd like to be part of your story?
I mean, I think in the community, I like working with kids, and when I'm training my son, others see the type of workouts he goes through, and share a lot of his accomplishments, and that's kind of inspiring other kids to want to do that. And, other parents wanting their kids to be part of something like that. So what I'm doing, I'm looking to put together something so that I can start to help our youth in the community get a head jump start on things. And I think in other towns and other communities, just off the top of my head, Atlanta, they have those type of programs in place so that the kids, by the time they get to high school, they know how to run, they know how to jump, they know how to catch. So I'm looking to soon here, get that started here in Statesboro so I can get my hands on a lot of kids and help them, become who they want to become in the athletic realm of things.
That's great. So that's something that's kind of missing right now in your area?
Yeah, I think, we have a local track team, but it's not as big as it needs to be. It's not as much kids involved with it that needs to be. And I think, with Dallas being my son and going on and doing the things that he's been able to do, a lot of kids want to be a part of that. And so I think the plus will be with him out there, he'll be able to, more kids will gravitate to want to participate because they see what he's been able to do. And so I think if I can right now can get that started while he's of age and right in there with those other kids will really be a good draw for the local youth to come out and be a part of something.
Sure. So what's your vision for it? What would it look like once it's all set up?
Well, I would say we'll be just like the track club out of Atlanta, the team that he's been working with, the track club he's with, the Blue Lightning Club. And I think, Coach Steve and I, which is Dallas coach up in Atlanta, we briefly talked about having a part of Statesboro part of the Blue Lightning Track Club, and I can be the one that runs it down here, and we join forces up there in Atlanta because, you know, there's so many kids off of Dallas's track club that has went on to the Junior Olympics. I mean, he wasn't the only one. It was a lot of kids, and a lot of those kids, I mean, they offer study hall, they offer all those things, and, you know, just embedded in them championship mentality around the whole thing of life, you know, not just only in the athletic realm, but being a champion on and off the field. And so, you know, being able to offer study hall for the kids and getting them together and, you know, just somebody over them and holding them accountable early on. That's the vision I have, you know, and
that's great.
Yeah, all the kids off of Dallas, off that track club out of Atlanta, Blue Lightning Track, without a shadow of a doubt, they're going to be able to go and be successful in whatever they do, because that's kind of what they're associating themselves around, champions every day when they participate in that track club. So that's my vision for it.
And you're building a mindset as well, which I think is so important.
Yeah.
And the fact that you're doing it earlier on, it will, like you said, give them a really good track for their whole life. Well, I wish you a lot of success with it. I think once you get the word out of what your mission is and your vision to your community, I think you'll have a lot of interest in it, because who wouldn't want their kids set up to be healthy and successful?
Exactly. Yeah.
And that's really what you're committed to, it sounds like. Yeah.
And just, you know, getting them on track for life, you know, the mindset, because there's going to be adversity. And the one thing about being able to compete is a lot of times, you know, you're not going to win a lot of times. But just like in life, you know, you got to keep pushing. You got to get up and do it again, brush yourself off and get up and go and regroup. And so, you know, that was one of the biggest things. I was proud of Dallas, how he handled adversity, because some track meets early on, he was getting beat, and, you know, but he was disappointed. So that made him work harder when we would come back and train. And plus, those other kids have been training since probably they was 5 years old, and you just now getting in this type of level. And he closed the gap so quick, you know, that showed that he had some mental toughness. And, you know, and like you said, it's developing a championship mindset as a kid. And so that's going to carry on with you throughout your life.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Well, I want to thank you so much for sharing your story and all the ways that you're supporting kids to grow up to be really successful and mentally tough adults. That is, I mean, that's a value to anybody, to have better mental toughness, be able to handle failure, you know, just being able to learn how to fail without it breaking you and taking it as a lesson to go on and win from there. Any entrepreneur will tell you that that is key to be able to do that. So it's great what you're doing. And I thank you for all you're doing for your community and beyond. Thanks for sharing that today.
I appreciate it.
Well, Greg, I so appreciate you being on today. Thank you so much for sharing everything that you did and for doing everything that you're doing. I wish you a lot of success, and I wish you a great rest of your day.
All right. I appreciate it, and same to you.
All right. All the best to your family.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us for this week's episode of Trista's Plate Story Podcast. Please subscribe to Trista's Plate Story Podcast to get the story behind all those vanity plates driving with you on the road. And if you would like to nominate the owner of a license plate, including you, or visit any of our partners and sponsors, come and see us at platestory.com. That's PL8STORY.com, and give us the details. If you enjoyed this episode, please drop a review and give us a share. I'm Trista Polo, wishing you well on the road to your next adventure.